The fluorescent lights buzzed in the small grocery store, illuminating the rows of fruit and vegetables that lined the aisles like a misplaced rainbow. Among the colorful chaos, Emma Dawson stood at her post behind the cash register, her smile a constant fixture despite the weight of financial burdens etched onto her brow. Each beep of the scanner echoed her struggle, a reminder of the mounting bills waiting patiently on her kitchen table at home. At 28, she had become a keeper of small moments and a witness to larger stories unfolding. The soft creases of laughter on her face betrayed a resilience forged through years of late-night shifts and juggling a second job at the local diner. With tousled brown hair pulled back into a practical bun, she wore the grocery store's navy blue uniform, now faded with wear, like a badge of honor. On the front lines of the retail battlefield, she approached every transaction as more than just an exchange of goods. Each customer had a story, and she was determined to be part of theirs in any small way she could. Emma had always believed in the power of kindness. Her late grandmother had once told her, "It's the small gestures that ignite the world inspired." Emma felt an inexplicable pull to brighten the lives of others, even as she wrestled with her own financial reality. Bills for rent, groceries, and her younger brother's college tuition loomed large in her mind. Sometimes it felt like a tidal wave, threatening to submerge her hope. But each day she pressed on, reminding herself that sunshine could still break through the darkest clouds. That Thursday afternoon, the store was unusually quiet. The air shifted slightly, revealing a burgeoning storm outside. Raindrops trickled against the windows as if the sky, too, was caught in a moment of reflection. Emma scanned the select few customers milling through the aisles, eager to wrap up their shopping and escape the unpredictable weather. As the clock ticked closer to closing time, a frazzled mother walked in, her hair damp from the rain, struggling to wrangle her two small children darting through the aisles like fireflies. Emma's heart ached at the With a gently furrowed brow, she noticed the mother's worried gaze as she counted the items in her flimsy plastic basket, checking prices and grappling with the visible tightness around her lips. "Mama, can we get those cookies?" the youngest child chirped, pointing toward the brightly packaged treats. "No, sweetie. We have to stick to what we need," the mother replied softly, a hint of frustration brightening her voice as the child's smile faltered. Emma's eyes flickered between the cart and the register, feeling the weight of the mother's unspoken struggles. This mother likely faced her own mountains of challenge, a joy-killing resistance against the rising costs of living, amplified by a market that seemed to thrive on scarcity. In that instant, Emma made a decision that could alter the course of their day, maybe even their lives. Just before the mother reached the counter, Emma leaned toward her. "Excuse me, do you need some help?" The woman turned, surprise flickering on her tired face. "Oh, it's okay, I can manage," she said, but Emma noticed the slightest tremor in her voice. "Really, please. Let me help you," Emma insisted, her sincerity cutting through the storm outside and the struggle within. As the mother reluctantly placed her items on the conveyor belt, Emma's heart quickened. The total climbed higher than she'd expected, each beep echoing the mother's anxiety. This wasn't just about groceries, it was about the insistent feeling looming overhead, shame mixed with exhaustion. As they reached the end of the belt, the total glowed on the register screen, and Emma felt the heavy weight of it all. There was something undeniably magnetic about the mother's endearing spirit, even in her defeat. Emma's fingers trembled for a moment, hovering over the keys of the register. She was all too aware of her own dwindling finances, yet her heart implored her to act, ignited by a resolve crafted in kindness. "I've got this," Emma finally said, her voice steady. She tapped the clerk activation button and swiped her own card with the assurance of someone who needed to be the light for another at that very moment. The mother gaped in disbelief. "No, really, you don't have to do that. I can pay you back," she sputtered, her cheeks flushing as she sorted through the meager change in her wallet, an unmistakable wave of gratitude flooding her voice. "I'm sure you've got enough on your plate already," Emma replied, her heart swelling with warmth, a spark of connection igniting between them. "Please let me." The woman's eyes glistened, brimming with gratitude and confusion. "Thank you," she whispered, the weight of those words echoing louder than any response. "You don't know what this means to me." As she slipped her card back into her wallet, Emma smiled softly, a quiet sense of fulfillment washing over her. The moment became a sparkle of light in a world that often felt so gray. Later that evening, the storm outside turned fierce, with gusts of wind slapping against the supermarket's windows. Emma finished her shift, pouring the remnants of her energy into the routine of closing duties. However, as she wiped down the counters and stacked the last of the paper bags, an edge of apprehension crept in. Every well-meaning action had consequences, and she sensed the flutter of change in the air, the potential for something greater. Then, just as she was about to lock the doors, the store manager, Mr. Collins, called her into his office. The gravity of his tone sent shivers down her spine. "Emma, I need to speak with you," he said, signaling for her to take a seat. The show of kindness she'd extended to the mother hung in the unsettling air, and she felt a mix of anxiety and confusion. Was kindness truly a currency worth more than money itself? The pang of uncertainty reverberated within her, leaving the bright embers of that moment flickering in the shadows, shrouded by the unknown that awaited her within those office walls. Emma took a seat in Mr. Collins' office, her heart pounding in her chest. The warm glow of the fluorescent lights hung above her, feeling suddenly harsh in comparison to the kindness she had tried to radiate just hours ago. As Mr. Collins shuffled through papers on his desk, she couldn't shake the surging swell of thoughts that wound around her mind like a tight coil. "Emma," he began, looking at her thoughtfully, "I wanted to talk about what happened with your last customer." He leaned back in his chair, folding his arms over his ample belly. "You showed a considerable act of kindness today, paying for that woman's groceries." Emma felt her cheeks flush, a mixture of pride and embarrassment washing over her. "I just thought she needed it more than I did." It wasn't a big deal. A faint smile tugged at the corners of her lips, but the reality of her own situation loomed large. Mr. Collins chuckled softly. "You'd be surprised. It is a big deal. That woman, Valerie, is a single mother working 2 jobs, and she's been struggling to make ends meet. Your help today made her week, and believe me, that ripple effect matters more than you know." A newfound warmth spread through her chest. The idea that her small gesture had made such a considerable impact on someone's life felt both satisfying and exhilarating. Mr. Collins cleared his throat, bringing her back to the moment. "In fact, I've been meaning to expand our community outreach, and I think you might be the perfect person to help lead it. You have this incredible way of connecting with customers, and I'd like to harness that. Let's start a program to help local families in need." Emma's eyes widened, her heart racing faster than it had when she first walked into the office. "You mean like a food bank or something?" "Exactly. We could partner with local farms and businesses to get discounts on supplies, distribute food baskets, and provide mentorship on budgeting and financial planning. It would be a significant commitment. But think about the lives you could change with your experience in this very environment. You could become a beacon of hope." Her breath caught in her throat. She had always dreamed of making a difference, but had never imagined she could do it right where she was, in the supermarket that felt like both a prison and lifeline. "I would love to. I want to help others in the same position, maybe even offer job opportunities and financial literacy classes. But I need to assess how we can sustainably build the program." Mr. Collins smiled, nodding appreciatively as he scribbled notes. "I figured you'd be interested. We can build a team, get the community involved. You'll have support from management too." A giddy sensation coursed through her, and all at once that nagging fear about her own financial woes evaporated. This was her chance, a moment to change lives, including her own. She felt a surge of lightness in her spirit, a truth settling in her heart. Kindness could indeed swing positively back toward its source. Over the next few weeks, Emma threw herself into her new role with a fiery determination. She spent evenings researching partnerships and volunteer opportunities, meeting with local churches and schools. Word quickly spread about her initiative, and soon she found herself inundated with support. The community rallied around her, eager to contribute, to help one another. Among those who generously offered their time was Valerie, the mother she had helped that rainy evening. It turned out she had a knack for crafting budget-friendly meal plans and was excited to share her knowledge with others. As they worked alongside each other, Emma and Valerie formed an emotional bond that transcended their shared struggle. One afternoon, after a productive planning session, they settled into the small cafe on the corner and shared stories over steaming cups of coffee. Valerie spoke of her dreams for her children to have a more stable life and how she was also seeking a better job, though the last interview had felt like an uphill battle. "I know I'm capable, but it's hard to shake that feeling of doubt," she confessed, resting her chin in her palm. Emma nodded empathetically, feeling those same clouds of uncertainty hovering around her. "I get it completely. Sometimes I wonder if I'm worthy of what I'm trying to achieve," she sighed. "But then I remember what my grandmother used to say about kindness. It can open doors we never thought possible. Just by lending a hand, we can change not only our lives but others too." Valerie chuckled softly. "I can see why you are so passionate about helping others. We need more people like you, Emma." As her heart swelled with encouragement, Emma's mind buzzed with ideas. What if I created a series of workshops? They could focus on financial literacy, job-seeking strategies, and maybe even include some cooking classes you could lead. We could showcase more of what we offer as part of our outreach. Valerie's eyes lit up. That would be amazing. We could even start a community garden to enhance our food program. It's fun and allows people to grow fresh produce, immediately giving back in tangible ways. Each day that passed brought more hope, laughter, and anticipation about what was to come. Emma began to see the beauty of her community transforming as families regained a sense of stability and optimism. The supermarket, typically a backdrop to transactions, had become a hub of connection, a sanctuary of support. However, not all moments were filled with joy. As they pushed forward, Emma received a call from her landlord one late afternoon. December's rent was just around the corner and she had fallen behind again. Anxiety gnawed at her insides, threatening to unravel the progress she felt vibrating in her pulse. Once again, she felt her financial reality pressing against the warmth she had cultivated. Yet this time she fought back her panic with a flicker of determination. Perhaps this was a temporary setback and there would be ways to overcome this too. "Emma, you're needed upstairs," a coworker nudged, breaking her focus. "Mr. Collins said it's urgent." With a quick nod, Emma rushed to the back office, uncertain about what awaited her. Just as she entered, she found Mr. Collins alongside a couple of familiar faces: the grocery owner, M.S. Henderson, the community manager from the neighborhood center, and Valerie, who smiled back at her with a knowing nod. "Emma, Mr. Collins began, his expression earnest, "we are here to present something special to you. M.S. Henderson has graciously agreed to donate a portion of her profits through the end of the year directly to the community assistance program we're introducing. It's not a lot, but it should help you cover some of the administrative costs and your rent." Emma's heart leapt into her throat, awareness blurring her vision. A glimmer of hope mixed freely with disbelief. "This is incredible. I can't believe it." "And there's more," Valerie chimed in, excitement wrapping around her every word. "I spoke with a few family members and they want to partner with the program. They've decided to contribute food and supplies for monthly giveaways starting in January." The weight of her struggles lifted. Emma allowed herself a moment of vulnerability, tears pooling in her eyes. "You don't know how much this means to me, to students, parents, everyone. I never anticipated this." "That's the point, dear. You opened the door with your kindness. Now we're all walking through it, MS." Henderson smiled, her gentle voice spilling warmth into the air. As gratitude enveloped the room, Emma stood there, embracing the collective heartbeat of her community. She could feel the unseen connections weaving through the lives around her, and she knew that this ripple effect of kindness stretched beyond anything she could imagine. Days transformed into weeks, and Emma, bolstered by newfound financial support, pressed ahead. The launch of her community assistance program became a celebration rather than merely a project. Families began to gather, united by shared experiences, burdens, and hopes. Every workshop heaped blessings beyond measure. Participants exchanged thoughts, lent knowledge, and forged friendships. Children learned to plant seeds, which grew miraculously just as the startup experience thrived on trust, laughter, and mutual growth. And as for Emma, with each successful workshop, she began to recognize her own worth. It wasn't solely about finding a solution for her bills, it was about instilling belief. Her vision reached beyond today, illuminating paths for families like Valerie's, whispering promises of a brighter future. "Emma," a kid called out one afternoon, drawing her gaze toward a small figure rushing toward her. "Look, my tomatoes are growing really big." A sense of accomplishment glimmered in the child's eyes, along with a mouthful of happiness. Emma grinningly knelt before the proud gardener. "They look amazing. Just like you." In this joyous moment, she discovered that together, they had made it through life's storms. No boundary was too high, no debt too daunting, so long as there was kindness. Her journey made strides that day, just like the rain-soaked seedlings poking through the earth, each beautifully different, but all thriving in the same sunlight. Emma felt a rush of realization that all it took was one dedicated spark of kindness to set the flame alight. Together, they were building a stronger community, one act of kindness at a time, and in doing so, they were changing the narrative not just about their finances, but about their very lives. The sun cast a golden hue over the community garden, illuminating the rows of blooming tomatoes, zucchini, and vibrant marigolds that now flourished under Emma's care and the collective effort of families in the neighborhood. Laughter echoed through the air as children raced down the paths, chattering excitedly about the latest vegetables they were nurturing together. Each voice resonated with a kind of joy that had seemed elusive just months prior. Emma stood at the garden center, surveying the growth that had blossomed not only in plants but in the people who filled this shared space. Every week brought fresh energy families, once burdened by worries and doubt, now thrived on hope and unity. What had begun as a simple act of kindness paying for a stranger's groceries had spiraled into something profound, an entire movement of support built on trust and compassion. "Mom, look," Mia called out, her voice bouncing through the air like a spark of joy. She dashed over, hands covered in soil and a big grin plastered across her face. "I picked the biggest tomato." In her other hand, she clutched a small bucket filled with freshly harvested vegetables, pride shining in her eyes. Emma knelt on the garden bed, surveying Mia's treasure with admiration. "That's incredible, sweetie. I think we have enough to make a great salad for dinner." Emma's heart swelled with pride at her daughter's involvement. The garden had become a family affair, where both Emma and Mia learned together, grown together, and had fun together. Mia had blossomed in unexpected ways during the past months, becoming a source of strength for her mother just as much as Emma had strived to be for her. She had taken on more responsibility with her studies and helped organize community events at the garden, showcasing everything from cooking workshops to volunteer days. Emma often watched her daughter in awe, noting the confidence emerging within Mia as she connected with the community. Rounding the edge of the garden, Valerie joined them, her hands cradling a freshly baked loaf of bread wrapped in a flower-printed cloth. Fresh from the oven, she exclaimed, her face illuminated with joy. "I figured we could have a little picnic after all this hard work." "Yay," Mia cheered, clapping her hands together. Valerie beamed, wrapping an arm around Mia's shoulders. "All that hard work and teamwork deserves a reward, doesn't it?" As they set up a small picnic blanket under the shade of an oak tree, Emma took a moment to reflect. They had come so far since the day she offered to pay for Valerie's groceries. It wasn't just the garden or their newfound community that transformed, it was also herself. The act of helping another had awakened something dormant inside her, a sense of purpose that fueled change in more ways than one. "Can you believe that we're actually going to host a farmer's market next month?" Valerie said, her voice bubbling with excitement as she unwrapped the bread. "The entire neighborhood is coming together to sell their goods, from fruits and veggies to homemade crafts. It's going to be huge." "Really? That's phenomenal," Emma exclaimed, a smile lighting her face. "This is what we were aiming for, creating a space where everyone can participate, showcase their talents, and support one another." And that was the crux of their community initiative, making connections that lifted everyone up, fostering an environment where kindness was the heartbeat of progress. In just a few months, she had witnessed the fruits of her labor, both figuratively in the garden and literally in their cooking. The three of them settled down on the blanket, surrounded by laughter and chatter as others joined the picnic that afternoon. Bringing everyone together in friendship with delicious food to share was a marked contrast from the lonely struggles they each had faced before. For an entire afternoon, the worries of life faded, if only for a moment. As the sun began to dip lower in the sky, leaving trails of pink and orange across the horizon, Mia chimed in, "Mom, remember when you said kindness could change the world? It really is true, isn't it?" Emma's heart swelled at the words. Mia had taken that lesson to heart far deeper than she could have imagined. "Absolutely, sweetheart," she answered, warmth wrapping around her like a soft hug. "Kindness can ignite change, and together we are spreading that light." Valerie nodded, her expression turning contemplative. "Just think about it, door after door has opened. We've empowered so many families to build a better future, from developing culinary skills to budgeting workshops that teach financial literacy." Emma looked over at her friend, a smile creeping onto her lips. "You have inspired so many with your passion, Valerie. You not only helped me see the potential of our community, but also ignited hope in your own children." Their conversation flowed freely, buoyed by laughter and shared experiences, until the sun sank completely, leaving behind a soft twilight glow. The picnic served as a metaphor for their newfound collective strength, a tapestry woven with various threads of experience, resilience, and growth. It was refreshing, exhilarating, and most importantly, hopeful. Each individual brought a unique story to the community table, and Emma reveled in the notion that they were all part of something larger than any one person. As the evening drew to a close and everyone packed up, Emma felt a profound sense of gratitude washing over her. She had ventured into a journey where kindness had led to transformations both financially and materially in her life and in others. Their picnic was a reminder of how far they had come and how powerful love, community, and compassion could be. Weeks passed and the farmers' market came to life, vibrant and overflowing with energy. Local families lined up to showcase their homemade goods, fresh produce, and artistic creations. The excitement rippled through the air, drawing in neighbors some familiar, some strangers eager to immerse themselves in this celebration of community spirit. Emma and Valerie stood side by side at their booth, showcasing vegetables and scrumptious baked goods that had emerged from hours of collaboration in the kitchen. Behind the two women, Mia engaged with children, teaching them how to make crafts from recycled materials. As the sun shone down, laughter and companionship echoed through the crowd, and Emma marveled at the resilience of her community. She could see firsthand how the collective spirit had quickened and thrived, largely due to the ripple that began with one selfless act. Just as the crowd began to swell, a familiar face approached. It was Karen, the mother with the two toddlers Emma had helped that fateful day so many months ago, now standing confidently as an entrepreneur. The little ones tugged at her apron and giggled, eyes wide with wonder at the sight around them. Emma, Karen called, joy radiating from her. I finally opened my bakery. Thanks to the support of this community, I had the courage to follow my dreams. Emma's heart filled with pride and warmth. That's incredible, Karen. I knew you had it in you. Embracing her tightly, Karen's eyes were glimmering with tears of gratitude. None of this would have been possible without your kindness. You inspired me to keep going, to pursue this dream. Thank you. Suddenly, a surge of voices broke through the atmosphere, singing happy birthday as a group of children gathered around, holding a homemade cake. Karen gasped, seeing her own kids among them. Overwhelmed, she turned to Emma. I realize this community isn't just here for support, we're all each other's strength. That simple truth blossomed under Emma's heart. A connection echoed in the laughter, joy, and hope surrounding them that day. It was a cycle of kindness that had come full circle, and with each exchange, the ripples continued to grow. As the market eventually wound down, heartwarming conversations lingered around them like a soft embrace. Emma felt a sense of belonging she hadn't experienced before, a true partnership that pervaded their lives, expanding endlessly. Returning home that night, the kitchen awash with the day's adventures, Emma glanced at Mia, asleep at the kitchen table, clinging to her half-finished drawing, a stunning representation of their days spent together. Hey, champ, Emma gently nudged her daughter awake, careful not to disrupt the peaceful slumber. You fell asleep during dinner. How about finishing this masterpiece tomorrow? Mia stirred, blinking sleep from her eyes with a sleepy smile. Did we really make that much of a difference today? Yes, Emma breathed, ruffling her hair affectionately. You made a huge difference. Every single person who came today does. As they tidied up their kitchen filled with the day's bounty, Emma felt an undeniable truth resonate in her chest. The sacrifices she'd made, the worries that had clouded her mind, all were worth it when seen against the backdrop of their transformative journey. They had orchestrated a humble revolution with one act of kindness that had redefined relationships, fostered growth, and cultivated a community brimming with compassion. She could happily provide for Mia's education with stability and love, peppered with laughter, while surrounding herself with families built strong by benevolence. In the quiet comfort of those evening moments, as the world outside rested beneath the stars, Emma knew in her heart that this chapter of their stories was only the beginning. With every step, every act of love, they would continue to forge ahead, as the seeds they had planted today promised a prosperous tomorrow. Joy swelled within her, a movement ignited by kindness that had spiraled into something beautiful and sustaining. Emma felt an unwavering certainty, illuminated by the gentle glow of hope, that together they could change not just their own lives, but the very fabric of the world around them. Together they had found the courage to dream, and with the spirit of kindness lighting their way, they knew their journey was destined to grow beyond what they could see. In life's garden, all that was left to do was nurture the love they had sown, as together they reached for the stars.